Welcome back to the Young, Dumb, and in Love podcast, where we want to help build better marriages. We want to give you practical tools that you can start using today to build the best marriage ever.
Ever. Well, Merry Christmas. It is Christmas
Feliz Navidad
season officially.
Like really officially.
I was putting up my lights.
We are having a light terror this year.
We're definitely having a light show this year. Okay, listen. I put up my lights this year.
Show.
I put them up every November 1st, period. I'm that guy, okay? Only one in the entire neighborhood. People still have their Halloween stuff up while I'm putting my Christmas stuff up. Turn the lights on. My neighbor comes out. He's like, "You're putting your Christmas lights up already?" And I'm like,
"Stop judging."
Yeah, man.
Bro.
It's Christmas season now. It's over. Like, we're ready. And I definitely felt a little judged. Turns out he's brand new to our neighborhood. Puts his lights up. They match perfectly to ours.
Oh,
I'm like, I saw him last night. I was like, "You did that on purpose."
Did he? Did he buy lights for that?
"Oh, no, my kids did all this." And I was like,
no,
they did it on purpose.
Our light issues inside this year.
I know. You can't see it right now.
But our tree is on the struggle bus.
Struggle bus. Okay, has this ever happened to you?
It's like two different...
An entire strand. Every single bulb in a strand. It burnt.
All of them.
Every single one of them. I have to replace every
single one. Do you think it
burnt
burnt from living in the garage that's so hot? I feel like we
possible.
never had any problems
it's
when
possible. That's true.
we lived in Washington with anything burning out. And this year, what's the stuff you wrap around the... I don't know.
Trash bags?
Garland.
Trash bags.
The garland on the staircase, those lights are out too.
Are they? Mm-hmm. No, I put all the batteries in.
Yeah,
they were working when I put the batteries in.
Well, they don't work now.
Well,
anyway, so Feliz Navidad, Merry Christmas.
Lots of lights going out.
Anyway,
I'm switching everything to LED, by the way.
I know.
I'm going to take all this out of this tree, and even though it's going to be a pain, and I'm going to do it.
Anyway, so today we're going to talk about Christmas, holiday, navigating the holidays when you're married.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And the drama that can come up, how to navigate it well with grace. And we've been married, obviously, for a long time.
16 and a half years.
So we have had a lot of holidays together, dating holidays, newly married holidays, and kind of what that looks like.
Yeah.
Because I think, you get married and you think, oh, it's going to be so like magical, all the holidays. And then you like get to a holiday and you're like, well, we do this on this holiday, or we read this book, or what about like my family does matching
pajamas.
Christmas pajamas.
Oh gosh.
Matching Christmas pajamas.
Yes, Lord.
And my mom has been, they weren't always matching.
They weren't always matching?
No.
That happened later?
So from the time I was little, my mom, I don't remember us not doing this. We all got a new pair of pajamas on Christmas Eve to wear Christmas Eve into Christmas morning. And my mom's so funny. She like washes them and wraps them.
Washes them.
And I'm like, we know they're pajamas. But anyway, it's still supposed to be exciting. But then it like transitioned into matching.
Yeah, I think that happened. No, because that happened when we started like really going to Disneyland a lot. Because then we started doing matching shirts to Disneyland.
Once we had Gabby, I feel like it became more of like, let's do matching pajamas. So now we do matching Christmas pajamas every year. And Julian is like so not into it. It was hard to get him to wear matching shirts to Disneyland.
Yeah,
he'd be like, this is so embarrassing, or these are so cheesy.
But that's when I cared a lot about stuff I shouldn't care about, right?
Yeah,
that's
and
when
I've never really cared about.
I was like, I was too worried about what people would think or how nerdy they would think I am. But the truth is that I am a closet nerd, and I'm no longer a closet nerd. It is all the way out, and
that's the thing.
Literally, my Jeep is called the Falcon, and I put a Falcon on it, and I have dice hanging from the mirror.
License plate that even
the license plate says Falcon on it.
Yeah. Anyway,
I have a sticker that says Falcon. I even 3D printed a Jedi symbol and put it on my car.
And spray painted it.
And spray painted it to match the car.
So anyway, he was upset about matching pajamas. Like, bro.
I don't care anymore. I'm totally down for it.
Navigating the holidays. One, I would say how to do it, right? Like, okay, how do you navigate the holidays? Because you come from two different families.
Yep.
So you have your family of origin. So you have your family you grew up with. I have my family I grew up with.
Yeah.
We have our own traditions. I mean, we literally lived in different states. We had different like family dynamics. You know, everything
was different.
All of it.
Yeah.
You know, whether or not you go to church
we did
on
an
Christmas
episode
Eve
called Two Worlds Collide. That's literally what it was. Two worlds collided. Like we were so different that I had no idea what to do with myself. I was like, what is happening? All these white people.
That is so rude. But anyway, that's funny. Just how different, you know, two families can be. Yeah. And so how do you navigate that without one being rude and offensive?
Well, I'm going to start real quick with that because I think there's a simple thing that a lot of people don't take advantage of. And when I say advantage of it, I really mean it in a good way. Mm-hmm. Like we really believe that when you get married, you're supposed to leave and cleave with your wife, right? Or your husband. And you leave your family and you start your own, and you have to be willing to start something new. And when you try to bring everything that you have and that you've done and that you did in the past and bombard it onto your spouse, that can be overwhelming. Like that can be like very shocking and overwhelming. And you can like, your spouse might look at you and be like, I had no idea you were such a weirdo. Like that could be something that really happens in a relationship because of traditions and things that you're going through when it comes to Christmas, Thanksgiving, and all that kind of stuff. So the best thing to do, and I wish we would have just had this conversation when we were young, but if you're young and you're newly married, like, hey, just stop before you even like bombard them with all the stuff that you do. Just take a moment and just say, hey, okay, we have our family now. All right, these are the things that I did growing up. And then she can say, these are the things that I did growing up. And we can compare the two and go, okay. And it's not that one is better than the other. It's just taking what you love the most out of each one and making it a part of your new family. And leave and cleave, you're creating something brand new together. And so when you create new things together, there's something special that you're building. You are creating your new family and origins, which is super fun because you're going to make brand new memories that you've never made before. And now a lot of times we want to be nostalgic. I grew up with these things called Luminatias. And they're basically a little brown bag, you know, like the brown bag that you put lunches in. It's basically that with a candle inside of it. And that's how people decorated their houses.
Which absolutely seems like a fire hazard.
It's totally a fire hazard. Absolutely. But the little candle inside of a brown bag with sand. And I mean, don't get me wrong. It is beautiful. And when we do see them, I'm like, oh, like nostalgic, right? But that's just one of those things that I didn't bring into our family because number one, my wife cares greatly about safety and she doesn't want our house to burn down. And with my luck, the wind will come, blow it over, and our house will light on fire. That's probably what would happen. But it's something that I go, you know, it's not really something I want to bring into my new order, my new family of what we're trying to build together, you know? And same thing with her. Like, although for her, I think tradition was a little bit different from where I grew up. We had, my family, tons of tradition. Hers probably didn't have as much that we had to deal with.
That sounds so... I mean, I have a very small family, and so it's like you knew who was going to be...
My family is ginormous.
At every holiday, and we just kind of did the same thing every year.
Yeah.
You know, we went out to dinner on Christmas Eve, go to Christmas service, and then you just do the same thing. I mean, except for I grew up in a family that my parents were divorced. So for a certain amount of years, there was the, you know, you're going to be at so-and-so's house for Christmas Eve and then this house on Christmas Day or whatever that may be. And we know a lot of families still navigate that.
Yeah.
You know, but then, okay, once you're married, kind of like how do you navigate that without hurting your family of origin's feelings?
Yeah.
So I think that is a tricky one because you know, you grow up and you think, oh, we're always going to spend holidays together. Well, now you're married to someone and they have a family. And so then it's like navigating that, not hurting feelings. Someone's feelings always get hurt.
Yep. Always. No matter what. That's for sure. And
so I mean, I'm asking you, you're not answering.
No, I'm about to answer your question.
But how do you navigate it without hurting feelings? You know, like, because you don't want to hurt feelings, but you also want to be able to say like, hey, now we have two kids and we want to make sure that we're building our own traditions in a way as well.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure. I think obviously it's tricky no matter what you do because you're going to deal with, like you said, a lot of feelings and tradition and things that people did their entire lives and you grew up doing with them, and so there's an expectation that you would still do those things. And as much as I want to say it's easy to do it all, it's not. You're not going to be able to do it all. Like one year you might have to do this, and one year you might have to do that, and know that it's for a season, and then eventually everyone's going to come to your house because everybody's too old to, do anything else to host everybody. So you need to start hosting, So like, I think as time goes on, things evolve and change. But from the very beginning, I probably the most important thing to do is just right away, just communicate.
Yeah.
First with each other, with your spouse, and say, okay, here's what we're thinking is the right thing for our family. Number one, have to start there.
Yeah.
Come up with what that is, make those your values, make that your tradition, and then make space and room to be able to have conversations with your parents and your in-laws and help them understand, like, hey, so we're actually going to be doing this year, but we're going to try to do something at this next holiday, or, where you're saying, we're not saying no to you completely, but we are saying, hey, we're going to have to catch up next time. Or especially with our situation, we're all in different states. Her parents are in one state. My parents are in another state. We're in another state.
Yeah.
My sister's in another state. Like, we're all in different states. So there's a lot of juggling that has to happen for us all to be together in one place. And so, like I said, number one, you have to talk to each other. And then number two, together, have those conversations with your parents and your family, because it's important. And it's important that I don't have the conversation by myself, or we have it together, because we are a team. We are a family.
Yeah, like a united front. Like,
we're a united front.
I think it's important when you have that conversation with your family of origin, so, your parents or whatever it may be, that you're saying, we've agreed, like, we've come to this decision together. Because if you're like, well, Brittany's making me do this, or Julian's dragging me here, then what it does is, one, it makes it look like you're not united. And then it kind of can cause, well, one, you shouldn't be talking like that, which it's easy to do.
It is.
But, then, that other family, whichever family it is, might be like, well, she's making him do this, or he's making her do that. And that can be really unhealthy too. Yeah. And holidays are meant to be enjoyed. They're meant to be joyful and exciting and a time to celebrate family. And so when you have that like icky feeling going into it, and it can be hard because, dynamics are they're just tricky. And so what are some things I think would be like, what are some traditions? So obviously, we did like Christmas pajamas, but what are some things that we've done now that we have two girls, that we would say are traditions? Well,
I think we're in a weird spot, because our tradition has been tough because we were working jobs that didn't allow us to really make traditions, so our traditions may have been a little different from what we plan on making them now, so I would almost say, what are our traditions going to be now? Because we get to kind of in a way start over.
You don't think we have like little, I feel like, okay, so like we do this thing where we drive around.
Totally. Yeah.
A couple times between like
I take the top off the Jeep, I decorate the Jeep.
Christmas, and we drive around and look at Christmas lights, and we listen to Christmas music. And I think that's the thing, is traditions are really meant to be like, they don't have to be expensive. They don't have to be these grand gestures. You know what I mean? And so it's like those little things of like that, But like you said, we used to work. I think that was another thing, is we were, both in full-time ministry. So vocationally, we were on staff at churches. And so our Christmas season looked really, really different.
It did. Yeah.
And so really up until the last couple of years, traveling around the holidays wasn't really like a sustainable option, because we were both working through Christmas Eve. Yeah.
And sometimes Christmas Day.
Yeah, and sometimes Christmas Day. And so that kind of, I think now, like you said, kind of like going forward, making different traditions. And as our kids have gotten older, and they have, more of an understanding of what's happening. When they're little, they're just like, oh, okay, whatever, we're fine. But like we just went to New Mexico for Thanksgiving, and then we're flying to Washington for Christmas, and
but I mean, a tradition that we've been a part of for a long time is, now don't judge us.
I know, I'm like,
but we literally go to Christmas Eve dinner at Denny's
Yeah,
every single year. The only time I ever go to Denny's is on Christmas Eve
too.
because we have the same waitress and we give her the same big tip every single time, and she looks forward to it. She knows our names.
She's so excited, and we walk in, and she's like, "My family's here."
Yeah, she calls us her family.
Once a year. It's so sweet.
Literally once a year we go to Denny's, and it's on Christmas Eve. Out of all the dinners that we can do Denny's at, it's Christmas Eve. But
of all the places you could do Christmas Eve dinner.
Yeah, that too.
Denny's at Christmas Eve. But yeah.
Exactly.
So I think one, obviously communicate. We always talk about just communicate with your spouse. I think it's important too to remember that like holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving can kind of be tied to a lot of emotional trauma.
Yeah, for sure.
Or positive. I mean, it doesn't always, but a lot of emotions with it. So it's like you need to be really careful maybe in how you discuss it. Like I remember when we were newly married, holidays that I wasn't at home like broke my heart because I'm very close to my family, and we're very small family, like tiny, like very small family.
Yeah.
You can count on our two hands how many people are going to show up at stuff, basically. And
you can count on all of our hands, all of our feet.
For Julian.
For mine.
So, I think it was like, I would just be devastated. But, as time goes on and you start to like shift that. And so just like having that, like realizing that maybe for one of you, holidays are more sensitive. Like for Julian, he's like, whatever, like it's cool, just wherever we go, whatever we do, it'll be great. And like maybe, for me, not so much anymore, but where it was like, I would be like devastated if we weren't doing certain things.
So
you
true.
know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where that conversation at the very beginning has to happen. Like she goes, if she would have said like just plain and simple, hey, I have to do this. Like this is such a big deal. My mentality probably would have been different. Where it's, like she said, for me, it's like, I'm fine. Like whatever we need to do, like I'll do whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm pretty chill when it comes to this kind of stuff. Well, and now I've
become, as time, I mean, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
And understanding more like family, what I mean? I don't know.
Family dynamics and expectations and all that kind of stuff. That's something you learn as time goes on.
And I think it's hard too, because no matter what you do, you're going to sometimes feel like you're disappointing somebody.
For sure. Absolutely.
And
it's a terrible feeling. You don't want to do that.
Oh, no, of course not.
Yeah.
There can be unspoken expectations. And so I think it's important to just like, we're both pretty like, let's just have the conversation. Like, one, if they're not telling, if you don't know the expectation, you don't know the expectation. Exactly. So here would be my encouragement. If you are the in-laws or you're the parents and you have an unspoken expectation, maybe just have that conversation, or don't get your feelings hurt when they don't meet that expectation. And don't take it personal either.
Don't have the conversation in a directive like, I expect you to do this. Like, hey, so ask your kids, hey, do you have plans this Christmas season?
Yeah. Hey, we would love,
if you could, we would love to have you. And just know like they could say no, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And it's okay for them to say, this year we won't be able to, but we're totally going to try to make something else work. Yeah. Like we have to be willing to give and take all around the family, everywhere, all around, whether it's the parents or it's you, whatever it is, we have to be willing to give and take. But having real conversations, that's really what it comes down to.
And how would you say, so I mean, obviously clear communication of, hey, this is where we're going to go, or this is what we're going to do. But what would you say? So obviously there's can be a huge financial burden that comes with Christmas.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's like
100%.
One, if you're like us, you travel.
Yep.
So there's the expense of travel, and then gifts, and these teachers needs gifts, and this needs gifts, and parents need gifts, and this. So how do you navigate that financial, obviously plan ahead the best you can, but say you get there and you're like, man, we're just not gonna be able to swing it. Like, how would you encourage someone to navigate that?
Yeah. I mean, that's something that, again, is the conversation that needs to happen. So say, there's a tradition in your family where everyone buys everyone a gift, right? Yeah. And you're just struggling with money, and you're just like, there's no way I can get everyone a gift. Again, the first thing you should do is just talk to your family and just have a conversation. It's just like, hey, things are a little tight this year. Could we do like a name draw? Yeah. Could we do? I totally want to be a part. I want to give as much as I can, but can we do like a name draw? So maybe I can just buy a gift for one person this year,
right.
you know, like, and honestly, it's kind of fun to do name draw. Like that's something that you do that and everybody, you get to really put a lot of thought into it because you're not just trying to buy a bunch of gifts for a bunch of people.
Well, and don't you think that it's become so like...
It's been all about gifts.
Right. Yeah. Which, I mean, obviously we know we're all adults, but I think it's so important to remember like what it's about and then really navigate it from a place of like, okay, like what am I really teaching my kids if it's always stressful around the holidays? And what kind of traditions am I building if I'm just like rushing around like crazy? And I think something we started doing is like, okay, let's focus on the kids at the holidays, whether that's nieces and nephews and our own kids. Because adults, it's like, let's be adults. Like, you know, we don't need gifts. And I don't want someone stressing out about getting me a gift because I'm probably stressing out about having to get them a gift.
So true.
And I know like some people, their gifting and like their love language is gifts.
You know,
mine is not. So I am like not necessarily the best at that. Right. Like I'm just like, why did you like, if Julian buys me something really nice and I'm like, why did you, I don't say this, but in my mind, I'm thinking, why did you spend all that money on that? Yeah. Like I could have done so many other things.
We couldn't be any more
we're just
opposite.
Different. It's so different. Because if I buy Julian a gift, he'd be like, yay.
It's the greatest thing ever.
But I think it's like just that clear communication, which I think is so hard. And I feel like we say this so many times. I'm sure people are like, oh, can you give us any other tips other than communication? But it's like, it's so imperative to just communicate. Just communicate. And you want to make the holiday, especially with kids. Here's the thing. Can I tell you at this point?
Yeah.
As much as I love like family and being with everyone else, I want to make the holidays special for my kids.
Yeah.
That's like my number one priority. I want to teach them about the story of Christmas and about Jesus. And I want them to look back on this time of year with like joy and excitement. And I think, you know, it's like cultivating that when it comes to the holidays rather than stress and mommy and daddy are stressed and, you know, and just, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's so true. I think when you can remember that the true meaning, like we talk about that all the time and it's so cheesy, but the true meaning of Christmas, like really, it's not really about the gifts. It's not about that kind of stuff. And if that's the big deal, then you need to make that conversation happen. Like, hey, I know this is a big deal in our family. But this year's just tough and I can't do it. And but I still want to be a part somehow. Like, what can I do? And you can get creative, you know, and I think that's where you get creative. It's not about how much you spend on gifts. Like, man, I see people give extravagant gifts and I'm like, gosh, like I love that for them. But that's just not for us, you know. Like we have decided that the most important thing really is that we have good quality time together, that we play games, that we spend time together, that our time is our gift, right? Because we're not guaranteed tomorrow. And for us, we want to make sure that we take advantage of every moment that we have by spending time together, by going and looking at Christmas lights and drinking hot cocoa and making cookies,
like the simple
that kind
things.
of stuff is so important.
Right.
And it's the memories that I'll never lose. You know, I might lose my possessions tomorrow. Like that's just the fact. My possessions will never outlast my memories, right? But those memories are so important. So for us, you know, no matter how hard it is or it can be, I think it's important that's where you have to make your own traditions. You have to make those things that work really well for you. And you have to be willing to say no or, you know, like, hey, not this year or next year maybe, but like really try. But at the same time, put effort because they are your family, you know, and you should show up and because you want to be there for them. And so,
but it's just impossible to do everything for everyone. And I think what happens is then that causes, you know, that stress or you do things then out of obligation and that's never healthy either, you know? And so it's like, okay, how can we navigate this in a way where, you know, we do our best, but then, you know, that communication. And so what would you say to someone who's like, okay, well, I feel like all I'm doing is the holidays out of obligation?
I would say that you definitely need to take a step back and you have to learn how to examine your life, right? So many people waste time and opportunity on obligation. When you can focus on what is important, your obligations will become less and your just who you are will come out more, right?
Right.
And so if you're doing things strictly out of obligation and you hate it, man, just take a step back.
Yeah.
And just go, okay, I'm going to reevaluate my life as a whole. And what can I do to be a healthier person? Because if I'm doing everything out of obligation, I'm going to be miserable. Like eventually it's going to catch up with my mind and my mental state, and I'm going to be absolutely miserable. So when you take a step back and you almost look at your life from a 50,000 foot level, you're able to see, okay, what are the 3 things that are most important? Those are the 3 things I'm going to focus on.
Yeah.
I don't need to do 20. I don't need to do 100. Like if I'm doing that many things, what am I losing out on? Like that's what you have to ask yourself.
Yeah.
And so looking at your life, 50,000 foot level, and really deciding on what are the 3, it doesn't have to be 3, but 3 most important things that you can put your time and energy in that don't feel like obligation. Now, no matter what, there's going to be obligation that happens in your life. You have jobs.
Right. I mean, it's responsibility.
You have responsibility.
And stuff. I think it's more just, if you're going to the holidays, you're thinking, I am literally doing everything because someone else is expecting me to do it.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's like, that's where you take the step back. And I do feel like that's gotten easier the older that I've gotten.
Yep.
Because I'm kind of like, hey, no, this is what's best for me, Julian, and the girls.
Yeah.
But
when you're younger and new, it's just hard to really.
It is hard.
It's hard to be honest.
It is hard to be honest.
I think most personalities have a hard time with confrontation, and there's only like one type of personality that loves confrontation, right?
That doesn't mean they're good at it. They
doesn't
just
mean they're
like
good at it. They just love it.
Well, I think too, it's like you can't really complain about what you allow, and if you are just kind of going along like I'll do this and we'll do this, you can't complain about it then. Like, and I remember that someone saying that like you can't complain about what you've allowed to happen, and it's like if you're not like, hey, you know what? This year I feel like we should do this. What do you think about that? Like, how are you feeling? And then deciding with confidence, like this is the decision we've made, and maybe a couple people are going to be upset about it, but that wasn't our heart. And I think that's okay to say too, like, hey, this isn't our heart wasn't to upset you, but this is the reason why we chose to do it this way this year. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think the other thing to think about, because there are going to be people on here who are like, hey, I do work all the way up and through Christmas. It's like you can still make it magical for you, your spouse, your kids in little ways. You know what I mean?
So true.
And I think that's what's important too. And I think it's remembering what it's about, and it can be a tricky thing to navigate.
That's true. But you have to be willing to think about it and put effort into it beforehand, because Christmas sneaks up on you. Like,
oh, I know. It's like 18 days away or something.
It's like January 1st and all of a sudden you turn around and it's Christmas, and
you mean like January 1st?
A whole year goes by, January 1st, and then all of a sudden it's Christmas.
It's true. I mean, and time does go by so fast, which is another reason why to have those conversations and decide how you want to navigate it so that time doesn't go by and you miss out on the things you really want to be able to do, and creating those memories for your kids, and then making it a place where your kids do want to come back when they are older with their spouse.
Exactly.
And I think that's what's cool is you kind of have this opportunity as you're married and your kids are growing up, you can go, hey, how do we want to make the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever it is, like a place where our kids go, like when they look back, they go, you know what? I do want to go home to my parents' house for the holidays because I do enjoy it. It is fun. It is joyful. Yeah. And like the opportunity you have now, And I think another thing to just remember too is like when you're in like Thanksgiving, Christmas are times where you gather with people you often wouldn't, and the opportunity that those gatherings have to just be a light and to be loving and to really kind of just show up for those people, because you may be seeing someone you haven't seen in a year, 2, 3 years.
So true.
And so it's like, if you're just like dragging all your baggage, which we all obviously have times where we are the ones who need encouragement. We're the ones who need to kind of be like, hey, it's going to be okay. But we can also use those
yes, and amen.
Like, okay, we can use these opportunities where we're with family that we wouldn't usually be with, or we're, to be a light, to be encouraging, to bring, positivity and joy, and, remind people of like what it is that we're celebrating, and not everyone is going to be there celebrating from the same place as you are.
So true.
I think that's the other thing is we have such an opportunity, especially those of us who are believers, to remind people what Christmas is about, you know? Yep. And it's just like yesterday, Elsie loves to listen to Christmas music. She's our 4-year-old. And there's that song that's like, last Christmas,
which is such it's like a fresh breath of air because she listens to like Mario theme songs mostly.
Mario theme songs.
So now that we're listening to Christmas music,
me and my 10-year-old are like, this is giving us actual anxiety listening to these Mario. But
she loves it.
I'm like, ah. Anyway, and then she comes home and wants to play Mario. And then Mario.
So
but anyway, so we're listening to this song and, last Christmas I gave you my heart. The very next day you gave it away. And she goes, Mom. And I'm in the front. She's sitting in her car seat. I'm like, yeah. She goes, they should just not give their heart to Christmas. They need to give their heart to Jesus. And I just was like, that literally sums up perfectly what really we should be focused on. But it's easy to get caught up in everything else.
So true.
And it's like from out of the mouth of babes, here she is. She's like, Mom, if they would just give their heart to Jesus. And I'm like, babe, you're so right. She's like, instead of Christmas. And I think it's true. It's like, of course, yes, Christmas is supposed to be about Jesus. But I think oftentimes we give our heart to Christmas, like the busy, the run, go, give this gift, spend all this money. And we forget that it's really about Jesus and gathering and loving those around us and showing love and light,
so true. So true.
And of course that starts with your own personal relationship with Jesus, but also like with your spouse and coming together and being like, hey, like we've made it another year. Like we're
celebrate
the fact that we're celebrating Christmas together means we've made it another year.
So
we are looking to a new year of opportunity of, being able to move into a new season. And so it's like, it can be such a beautiful time. It's just, you have to be able to communicate, to be able to, make sure that you're honoring both of your families, your family of origin, as well as really making sure that you're putting your family first. Yeah. And I think that can be so difficult, because you don't want to hurt feelings. That's what we always say is like, whether or not people know our hearts, like we never want to hurt feelings,
not at all. Not even
your
little.
parents.
It like
or
breaks
my
our heart
parents.
if we see someone sad.
I know, but anyway, yeah.
And I think the other thing too, this is a season that tensions are high.
Oh yeah.
And if you already are struggling in your marriage, for some reason,
this is like a magnifying
glass.
This
season, it's like sit with a magnifying glass, just burning you. Like it just everything just is heightened, and you feel pressure, and you're being around people, and and so if your marriage is struggling, like, man, just know that the best thing you can do is to take that step back with your spouse, look at them in the eyes, hold hands, whatever you need to do, and just say, hey, I know that right now things are rocky, things are tough, whatever it might be. It might be your relationship, it might be your finances, it might be whatever it is, but this is a great time for you to take a step back and just look at each other and remember, okay, we're a team. We married, we said yes, we're together, and because we're together, we can do this. And when you go back to that place, the holidays can be so much better when you go into it hand in hand, grabbing each other's hand, grabbing each other's hand.
Okay, I got
Walking hand in hand.
Yeah.
Going and creating memories together. And some of the best memories that you will ever create is during this time. And some of the worst will happen. And that's why we want you to get ahead of it. We don't want you to make the worst memories during the season. We want you to make
absolutely.
the best memories during the season with your family, with your spouse, with your kids. This is an opportunity. You have to look at anything like this as an opportunity to create and grow closer together. And when you grow closer together in these seasons, it's almost like when you're going hiking and you have postmarks. There's things on trees that might show you where you're at. When the other day we're climbing in what's it called, Sedona. We were in Sedona, and when you get to a certain spot, and there's just like a bunch of monuments built with rocks from people who made it to that spot. This is that. These moments and these times can be moments where you build little monuments for your family, and you build little structures saying, okay, whenever we're going through a hard time, we have something to look back at. And when we look back at our memories and the times that we created together and the good things that happened in our lives, we're able to get strength from that. And a lot of people don't create those memories. They don't create these moments to look back at and draw strength from. You have to draw strength from in your marriage from moments like these. You know, obviously, number one, God's going to give you the strength that you need to be able to do what you need to do. But when you're doing this every single day on your own, create moments and memories and things in your life that you can truly look back at and say, we have something beautiful together. And Christmas and Thanksgiving and Easter and all the different holidays that we celebrate here in America, like this is one of those things where you can truly take advantage of it and make it a place where you can grow your marriage together. And
are you okay?
Yeah, it's hiccups, but you can grow your marriage together.
Yeah.
And you can grow together every single day if you do this. And it's not just holidays, but holidays is just a great opportunity, right?
Right.
You could do this every day in your life.
Absolutely.
Wherever you're at in your life, you know, even if you're listening to this, 5 months from now, you can do this today. You can literally be somebody who creates memories and builds off of it and has something to look back at to draw strength from for your marriage. And, a lot of marriages, as they're failing, they forget their true love. They forget the first love that they had with their spouse. They forget that, oh my gosh, like I actually like them, or there is good in them, and it's both ways. We forget it so easily because we get busy with life. We get busy with stresses and money and finances, whatever. We have all these things going on, and we forget that that's my best friend. Like that's the person that I chose to do life with. And when you can go back to that place, like your strength for your marriage is going to be so much stronger. And so I would hope that every single one of us would just put that kind of effort in, and it's hard. We get distracted and we have things that happen, and life sometimes sucks. And you know what? Life can suck, but I'd rather life not suck with anybody else than my spouse, and if it's going to suck, then let it suck with her. That's what I say, and when you have that kind of attitude and you push forward, gosh, you could do anything together. If you can get over mountains like that. That united
front, and when you, like you said, come together, hey, like we can do this together. And I think that a lot of times the struggle comes from feeling like you're not doing it together.
Yeah, you're not connected.
Like I'm doing this on my own, or you're doing this on your own. And when you feel like that, it's too daunting, and you're carrying the burden by yourself when really it's meant to be carried together.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
And it takes two people. It takes two. You have to both be willing to put in the work, And so many times, a lot of times we have people commenting like, hey, it goes both ways. It goes both ways. I'm the only one putting in effort. You know what? If you're the only one putting in effort, you're right. You need your spouse. Your spouse needs to put in the effort too. So I'm telling you, like, for your spouse, if they're not putting in any effort, man, sit them down. Say, hey, I feel like I'm giving all that I have into this marriage. Would you be willing to do some more too? Would you be willing to go on more dates? Would you be willing to do this? Like, I really feel like this could help our marriage grow. And when you have those honest, real conversations, you're more likely to grow from those conversations than to die. Like, it just is the truth, because honesty and conversations just bring out conversation. Like, it brings out conversation where you can help each other move forward. Now, it doesn't mean it's easy. It's hard. It's hard to be honest and have real conversations with each other. But when you do it, I'm telling you, your life can be so much better, And so take advantage of the holidays. If you're going through it right now, hey, we're praying for you. We really hope that you can take advantage of these moments. You can have real conversations with your family, and you can create brand new memories with your family, because these are the moments that you're going to go back and say, remember when.
Yeah.
And those memories are going to help you build new ones. They're going to help you remember how much you love your spouse and your family.
Go and buy some matching Christmas pajamas.
Yeah,
and put them on.
Please do. There's nothing
Take
better.
a picture in front of the Christmas tree and tag at Young, Dumb, and in Love.
Please do.
So that we can see and repost them.
Absolutely.
Because we will be in our matching Christmas pajamas.
Yes, and I'm so excited about them.
Yes, he is. They are white with Christmas.
I'm going to have to shave because I'm so hairy. You're just going to see all my hair popping through the white.
Great. But we're so glad that you came today to listen to us here at Young, Dumb, and in Love, and we hope that you have the merriest Christmas and the best New Year, and we hope to see you soon.